Welcome Under the Moon Gate, my secret garden to help you unlock your intuitive gifts. I'm Erin Bagwell, a medium, documentary filmmaker, and garden witch. I'm sharing stories, interviews, and lessons from beyond the veil to inspire us to find the magic within. Thank you for stepping through the gate and joining me in the garden. Friends, countrymen, witches, lend me your ears. Have I got an episode for you? I am so excited to introduce my friend, Sara Rodriguez, to the podcast. Sara is what we would call a multifaceted creative. She is a musician. She is an entrepreneur. She is making tinctures in the garden. She is hosting sound baths. She is really on a spiritual path to figure out kind of how her gifts are going to come through. But the one thing that Sara that anchors, I think, all of her beautiful creative endeavors is her music and is her voice, whether she is singing in a band or doing sound bath healing or taking me under the lake to sing Under the Moon. She has this melodic, siren-esque voice that really just takes your breath away. And I had the absolute pleasure of going out this past month under the strawberry moon with Sara. She invited me to go out kayaking with her. And so we went to Cayuga Lake and we paddled out there and we found the full moon and we did a little bit of singing for the moon. And it was such an exceptional experience for a couple of reasons, but I sing myself. I like to sing to my daughters and, just here and there kind of casually. And so I was really excited to go under the moon and to sing and to be part of a moon ceremony. But I'll tell you, when I got out there, I'm so enchanted by Sara's voice that I didn't really sing. I was just so enthralled with listening to her. And, as a gal who loves karaoke myself, that's a rare thing to find somebody's voice, that you love so much that they bring you to silence. And Sara was so generous. She brought me a sound bowl to use. So I was doing the sound bowls while she was singing, and it was really, really incredible. I'm going to write some articles about it. Maybe I'll do a mini episode about the beaver encounter that we had. Lots of magic ensued. And to be honest, I feel really changed by the experience. And it was so incredible that I'm really bringing it with me. It's been weeks now at this point that it's unfolded, but I feel different from it. I am so honored to also be able to share a little bit of a clip from that evening. So stay tuned towards the end of the episode where I actually share an audio recording of Sara and I under the moon on the lake. So thank you guys so much for listening. So excited to have you here. And let's get into it. Sara Rodriguez is Under the Moon Gate.
Just finding something where you can breathe. So for me, that's either I was feeling kind of funky before this. So I took my shower. I always use the water as a cleansing, just wash away whatever the hell this is. Just wash it away. And just simple singing. Put on an album you love and just sing. You know what I mean? So there's that breath movement. When I get into a little bit bigger of emotions, in panic attack, anxiety attack mode, I gotta play my flute because it will just fix it real quick.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me
Yeah.
why.
I think it's just the act of breathing. The act of breathing. Also, a lot of times with my flute, I don't think. I just close my eyes and just disappear.
You're in the flow of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did your relationship with music start?
I mean, it's always been there throughout my life. My maternal grandfather was this incredible guitarist. And a big aspect was just growing up in the church. So and that was my favorite part of church was the singing and the worship. And so there was that. My dad was always musically inclined, although he was never a musician. He was just a vibe kind of guy. He's just I'm gonna get these congas out and just have fun. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just kind of always been around. I started lessons pretty young. I started piano at 4
Mm,
and then just kind of kept going with it. I never really let it go as an adult because I was just like, I noticed how much the times in my life where I don't have music in my life, where I'm not actively playing, are like times in my life where I'm not really mentally well.
mm, mm.
So it really has that mind body connection for me, the music. And I think a lot of that has to do with the breathing aspect, especially playing the woodwind.
Like you, I feel like if I'm not in a creative project or a creative pursuit, I feel like my mental health really dwindles quickly. And somebody was asking me the other day, I was like at a party and they were like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I'm doing this podcast, I'm doing research for this film, I'm kind of writing this book." And they were like, "Wow, like how do you do so many things?" And I was like, "Oh, it's an illness." Like if I don't do it, I feel like I go crazy.
I
So,
think that's the man gen aspect of our human design.
say more.
Well, the manifesting generators always have to they see the shiny thing, they're like, oh, I'm doing that, and all of a sudden get distracted, do another project. So you always have your hands in these creative pots, or just not necessarily creative, but most of the times creative. You just have your hands in different projects all the time because that's just kind of how your
Wired.
body and mind works. Yeah.
Mm. I'm curious how you said that music has been a part of your life pretty much since forever. It's kind of ebbed and flowed with you. And I'm assuming you've picked up different instruments and things like that, and it's kind of expanded in its relationship to you. How does spirituality kind of meld between the two? Because I see those almost as two buckets. There's music and there's spirituality. But when I think about you, I think about kind of that melding of it. So
Hmm.
can you tell me how that came to be in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt music as a very spiritual thing. Going to concerts, going to these big concerts, and you're just in this collective crowd, and there's this thing happening on stage that will just transport people. And then as I dove deeper into trying to connect all my things that I do,
Mm-hmm.
it just seemed like a really easy integration to put everything together. Like I said before with the flute, I just close my eyes and just disappear. Whatever comes out, comes out. And I feel like that's just kind of my connection to source in that moment. Yeah, it's just kind of knowing all these, footprints on my path and seeing what works, what's been sticking on my footprints, and
Mm.
then just kind of tying them all in together.
How does doing sound baths, being a sound bath practitioner, how did that come to be?
Well, I'm very productive in the winter. Winter is my time. I love winter. I love the act of going inward and being quiet. So, along with that, I try to focus on one thing I want to do
Mm.
in the winter. So, one winter about 5 years ago, I was like, I want to see what it takes to do, what do I need to do to be a sound healer? So, I reached out to someone who I was receiving voice lessons from at one point. I took a few with her. It was really cool because she integrated yoga in with the singing. So it
Mm.
was it was really neat and different that I had ever experienced with a voice lesson. So I was like, yeah, this is how I understand it. And she's also a really incredible musician. And she lives in Nova Scotia now. So I just emailed her one day and I was like, hey, listen, can you tell me what it like any certifications that I can go for? I know you do this, so just let me know, point me in the right direction. She was like, you know what? You can do those certifications, but you don't really need to, as long as you have a deep spiritual practice, a meditation practice, the ability to improvise as a
Mm.
musician. And then she was like, and you need to read these two books.
And what were the $2? Do you remember?
Yes. One is called Free Your Voice. It
Mm.
is my little Bible, one of like three Bibles that I have for myself. Something you can kind of skim through. She's got all these activities, and then it comes along with two CDs
Mm.
that coincide with the exercises and the activities that you're supposed to do. I took one of those and really ran with it in forming the outline of how I run my sound journeys.
Mm.
And the other one is Finding Your Voice,
Mm.
a practical and spiritual approach to singing and living.
Okay.
Yeah, and then she gave me an assignment. She gave me homework to do, kind of build an outline of how I would want to run a sound bath.
Hmm.
And first time, I didn't understand the assignment. And then the second time, once I fully understood it, I sent her what I wanted to do. And she was like, yeah, you got it.
Breathe and just be.
And how do you feel while you're kind of in the process of sharing your song and after? I'm curious, energetically, kind of what the journey you go through is.
For the sound baths, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Sometimes I feel really plugged in and just going with the flow and just like really being in the elements that I'm in. Other times it feels a little bit more technical and I'm not as in, I'm just thinking a little bit too much.
Mm.
And so usually when I recognize that, I'll be like, okay, girl, you're thinking too much. So once I get to the next element, I really try to hone in and be grounded in that element. I work with the earth elements for all of them and I have this nice little flow.
Can you tell us more about the earth elements?
I feel very connected with the earth. So, most of the stuff I do musically, even when I'm working in band mode, when I have my full band, I try to touch each element. So it's just the earth, water, fire, air, ether. So just touching those and making a nice little flow, and it works. It works really well, I think, because a friend who does ecstatic dance, she offered me that flow of elements,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the one that I really resonate the most with when I'm doing a full hour. If I have a shorter amount of time, I'll get out of that flow. Like yesterday, I did a 45-minute sound bath at a local college here. And so I just kind of did what felt good, knowing that I
Mm-hmm.
only had 45 minutes. But yeah, I feel when I do the full flow of the elements, it feels more rounded and grounded and powerful.
I know that you live pretty close to Lilydale.
Mhm.
Can you talk to me a little bit about your Lilydale experiences? Maybe the first time you've been there or any kind of trips that have been meaningful to you?
The first time my connection came from Lilydale was when they reached out to me for a Women's Day celebration that they were doing in 2020. And it was supposed to be this big whole thing where people were coming in from out of town. And there was a whole, every Women's Day they celebrate uh, pretty regularly and they have a whole like week-long celebration. So they were doing that in that year. And they paired people up with just other people, other speakers. So I was supposed to be with this other woman who works in the Finger Lakes, and it was going to be this whole weekend where we go down to the land, and then they were going to take us out on a pontoon, and they were going to put us up in one of the houses and all that. And then the pandemic hit, so everything turned
Mm.
virtual. And so I just kind of always kept in my mind the one person that I connected with who reached out. So once I moved down here, I reached out to her and I was like, hey, girl, I live here now. I'm really close. Let me know if you want to meet up for tea. And so we did that, and it was really neat. It was really cool. I've never had a reading there, but I spend a lot of time there just because it's so beautiful and it's really close. And the lake I feel safest kayaking on is that the lake that's right there, Casadega Lakes. So I'm there all the time, and a lot of times I'll get out right on the beach and just kind of sit there for a minute.
And what are we doing under the full moon?
I always sing to the moon. I bring an instrument. It's either my singing bowl or my tongue drum, and we just sing to the moon.
Hmm.
It's really nice.
What do you think that exchange is? I guess part of me feels silly even asking you this question, but I know our audience is going to be like, huh, like what happens when you sing to the moon, or why would one sing to the moon? Do you have any thoughts about kind of what happens when that kind of ritual is done?
I, like most people, the word lunatic comes from Luna, the
Mm.
fascination with the moon. And I've always had that ever since a little girl. I'm like, oh my God, it's full moon. Look at the moon. So that same energy lives inside me every time I see the full moon. So I'm always like,
Mm.
ooh, what if I just go out and be with her when it's full moon? And
Hmm.
that throughout my life, that's taken different forms. But in the summer, I started, especially living down here and being so close to this beautiful lake that I just love being on. I'm giving my love to the moon for her beauty, just acknowledging her. And even when I lived with my parents, she would always wake me up in the middle of the night when it was full moon.
Mm.
So I've always felt a real reciprocal connection with her. Offering her my song, I guess, is the way I show her love.
Mm. It's interesting. I just recently did a channel for April and kind of asked Spirit, like, what do we need to know to kind of get through this transitional month? And one of the things that was offered to me was to sing to the sun and to go out on a really warm day where there weren't any clouds and kind of make a song offering.
Mhm.
And it was really interesting because I think oftentimes when magic kind of enters your body and your mind or, your spirit, however it comes to be, it's like there's this knowing that like, yeah, that's the right thing. But then there's this logical part of your human mind that asks, well, why am I doing that? Like what is it going to do for me? And I think we can get kind of grounded or stuck in semantics, and it's so beautiful in our practices, whether you're spiritual or not, to kind of just do what feels right and what feels in alignment for you. So I love hearing about your relationship to the moon and how you're kind of giving and getting this reciprocal energy. I can just see you on the water.
Yeah, it's really cool. If you ever want to go sometime, I'll take you when it's a clear
Would
night.
love to go.
No, did you see that shooting star?
No. I'm looking at the moon. I gotta
Holy
look
shit,
up.
I was too, and all of a sudden
Oh, there
it's like,
it is.
no, that's a satellite.
okay.
It was a legit,
Like shooter.
holy moly. Wow. Whoa. I was on this lake once when there was a meteor shower. There's so much happening right now.
I'm wondering do you have any stories about anything like unusual or magical happening when you've been singing in nature?
I lived in Costa Rica for like 6 months, and I, like right after college, and the one time I just went to meditate and went on this path. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew the people's land that I was on. They're like, yeah, you got to go to the Cascade. And I was like, okay, cool. So I just tried to find it and eventually found it, sat down, meditated a little bit. And in that meditation was a little bit of singing. And it was interesting to like see different animals come out. Like there was this one really bright green snake that came out that was wild. It's really interesting, especially when you start off being completely silent.
Mhm.
So it's like you're not even there. And when that happens, it's pretty neat because animals don't necessarily know you're there if you're not making any noise. So it's interesting to see what happens and what comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a symbol of the goddess to have the snake join you.
Yeah. I quickly left because I was like, I don't know if this is poisonous or not. And I'm by myself. And I just don't want to get bit by the snake.
Yeah, yeah. But I hear you. I battle with my relationship with snakes because I'm deathly afraid of them, but also like very much know the history of how important they are to women's spirituality and our
Mm.
relationship to the church. So I grapple, you know. We should talk about perhaps your tinctures and your what you're working on business wise.
Mhm.
So tell me all about it.
Nature is medicine. So just trying to find those elements that will be really helpful to people. And my whole venture with making topicals started with my mother. She needed a knee replacement and was waiting for a while. I was like, I want to help her in some sort of way. And I had always had my eye on this like one machine that was like a little bit expensive, and eventually it went on sale, and I was like, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna make these infusions for her. The big part of the medicine that I wanted to use is the cannabis plant, and also with that coming some education that it's not just for like smoking and getting high and all that stuff. Sure, you can use it for that, but you can use it in different ways that are going to be just as medicinal, if not more. So using it topically has been really cool. And it's been really interesting to see people's reactions who are very averse to the plant.
Mm.
And like my mother is a saint. She doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, she doesn't do anything. And at first I was a little wary and aware of that. So I asked her permission if she was open to it, and she was like, whatever's gonna make this pain go away.
Mm.
So she was open to trying it. And she's like, is it gonna get me high? And I'm like, no, mom, it's not. Um, the barrier of your skin, like it doesn't get into your bloodstream. It just does that very first one. It does penetrate a little bit, but so she tried it, and also knowing that arnica has been a very big medicine for people topically for pain. So it started with that, combining the two, just flower power is really where I just want to live in a space because
Mm.
flowers are awesome. So just combining the power of the two flowers has been really neat. The addition of the cannabis to these topicals has been really wonderful just because it works in that inflammatory space. And when you combine it with another medicinal flower, it really comes together to make something beautiful. And it was really awesome to see it almost work immediately with her,
Mm.
and her just being like, look at how much my knee can bend a little bit more. And I'm like, yay, awesome. I'm so excited. I have 3 products right now that I work on, and just kind of keeping it there because the pain salve is the biggest one that's helpful to most people. The skin salve is also really awesome because I use my own flowers. I use my own calendula flowers that I grow. So just having that connection with
Mm.
the flower and then offering it to people is also really nice and special. And I think when you have a connection with something, the energy of whatever you're putting out is a little bit different.
Yes.
Breaking the stuff down, getting the stuff ready to be infused. As I'm doing that, I'm just like putting my love into it. Even if I can't, if it's not something I've grown, just putting love into anything that you do, I think is really important. Doesn't matter what it is, but just getting that love energy into these flowers and offering them is just really beautiful.
Back to you. Back to you. Back to you. Back to you.
And we'll leave links and everything in the show notes so people can check out your work. And we're at the point of the show now. This is a new segment that I'm introducing. It's called Ask a Medium, where
Okay.
if you have a question or a spiritual experience you've had that you'd like some clarity on, or you want to kind of unpack a ghost story that maybe you don't get to talk about kind of in your regular life.
Well, I have two that I'm thinking of, and they're both dream related.
Let's do it.
The first one, and I think I know the answer, but I just want you to confirm.
Mhm.
I had a cousin that passed away, and at the end of 2020, and I wrote a song for him.
Mm.
And I first let it be known when we did a little ceremony for his birthday in January. And we played it as we released these lanterns, and then I don't know when, but maybe a year or two after, I had this dream with him, and it was the first dream I ever had with him. And he wasn't speaking, he was just there. It's almost like he was communicating telepathically. And like I was in his apartment, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you're here. And then I asked him, I was like, did you like the song? And he didn't say anything. All I felt was almost like he passed through me.
Mm.
And I just felt it very viscerally, and I can still feel it as I speak. And I just
Mm.
like, was that him for real? I think it was. Him just verifying that, yes, he liked it and that he heard it.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. I think that dreams are a really powerful way to communicate with people who have passed on. And I think it's one of the easiest ways for them to communicate and connect kind of in their more spiritual form. When I am channeling or connecting to spirit in order to do a reading, I always kind of say, like, I'm heightening my elevation. Like, I kind of picture it as like the seventh crown chakra. Like, I'm trying to go up, up, up. And the people in the spirit world through the veil, ancestors who have deceased, are coming down to meet us. And so oftentimes we'll get kind of premonitions or kind of spiritual information in dreams because it's that liminal place in between being kind of awake in the earth realm and also kind of being in the spirit realm. So I think the dream space in general is a really, really powerful way to ask questions and get information. And I've also had situations where I've connected with an ancestor and we had like, I actually wrote notes like about what she was telling me. Like it was almost like she was giving me a class of like things I needed to know or understand. And I remember waking up and not remembering a single thing. And I think what happens in that transaction is almost like your body is just waking up to remembering certain information or pieces of who you are. So I absolutely think your cousin was visiting you, was giving you confirmation. And I also like it seems like that energetic exchange, that resonance was really like emotional in a positive way. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Because I was like crying in the dream because I was like, I can't even believe that you're here. Like, what are you doing
Mm,
here? You know what I mean? So when it felt like his answer was yes, passing through me, like almost like he just like went right through me. That felt very like ecstatic and euphoric. So
Yeah.
it was almost like there's the tears aspect, like the one side of the spectrum being very, with grief, and then the confirmation of the yes turned to the complete other side of
Mm.
euphoria, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I feel into while you're sharing this story is that he has a deep connection with you. That, like, the passing through you to me kind of feels like almost like there's a oneness between the two of you, and that he was kind of showing you that his spiritual body is not different than your spiritual body. That by going through you, it was like a way to share space together.
Cool.
Ooh, I feel the chills on that
Yeah.
one.
Try not to cry.
Did you want to tell me about the other dream?
Yeah, just give me a second to bring these,
Oh,
make sure
yeah,
these
no
tears don't
problem.
fall.
Tears are welcome under the moon gate.
Yeah, so the other dream, so background with my music, especially bringing the spirituality to my regular band.
Mm.
Um, I acknowledge the Orishas a lot. I've always been intrigued by the songs that they have for each one.
Will you tell me about them? I'm not familiar.
In different cultures, it's called different things. Like it's referred to as Santeria or Ife, or like in Brazil, they call it Candomblé. But it's all the same thing where there's different gods and goddesses for different aspects of things. Like the deepest one that I have a connection with is Yemaya, which is
Mm.
she's the goddess of the water and creativity. So working with songs, working with this one woman who I kind of consider my mentor, I go to her a lot for guidance, who's very spiritually connected with the ancestors. It's like pretty insane. When we collaborate and work together, a lot of times we're honoring Yemaya,
Mm.
who's just this goddess. I've been very intrigued, especially on the spiritual journey of just being on my way and learning all these really interesting things that overlap and are pretty much the same, but just in different language. You know what I mean? And also coming from a space of growing up in the church, having religion be a dominant part of my life, and people around me's beliefs, and how that can be kind of strict sometimes and not have room for understanding or being open to understanding. So I've just been on this journey of just collecting all these aspects of what resonates
Mm.
with me.
Gotcha.
And so I had this dream where the Orishas showed themselves to me and they said, it's time. And I don't know if that meant it's time, like, to be devoted to the practice, to
Mm.
this spirituality way of life, because I'm just like dabbling,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know what I mean, a little bit. So I don't know what it's time meant. Like it's time for me to like become a practitioner, or like the time is now to like unleash the power of the Orishas. I don't fucking know. But
Mm-hmm.
they just said it's time. And it made me very scared because like not in like I'm fearful. It's just like, oh man, I really don't want to be part of some organized religion. Like that
Mm.
does not resonate with me whatsoever. But they told me it's time. What does that mean? Is it time to become part of this spiritual religion per se? It's not real. I guess some people can consider it a religion, but yeah, I don't know.
Mm. So what do you think it's time means to you?
I thought it's like it's time to become a practitioner to devote your spiritual practice to us.
Mm. Okay. And your fear around that is the relationship between being more devoted and being part of a spiritual like organization?
Hmm. Exactly. Because it's very, I mean, they build altars. They have a day for each Orisha,
Mm-hmm.
um, that have all these ceremonies and things like that. And they always wear white. yeah, it's like a whole thing. And I'm just like, oh shit.
I'm feeling a couple of different things. I mean, I always think that your, first thought is your best thought in
Hmm.
terms of your interpretation of something, right? You know what these women mean to you. Understand the connection. And to be honest, whenever I feel resistance to a spiritual message, that's when I know it's real. Because most of the time, I think we're always looking for validation, right? When we pull a tarot card, we're like, we want the card that's going to give us like the yes to what we want or feel. But I know when spirit really shows up, when I'm like, oh shit, that's not what I was thinking. When
Hmm.
I channel and ask a question and a totally thing out of left field comes through, then I'm like, oh, this is real. This is the truth. And
Hmm.
so I think it's okay to feel in the resistance of whatever you were processing. Um, you're like open to feeling through the breadcrumbs and like figuring out the path and things like that. When you described the dream to me, it was interesting. I felt it a little bit differently, but that's not to say that it's what's true, because you're going to have to feel out for yourself and in your body what resonates the most. But when you were saying that, I was seeing you become the goddess,
Mm. Okay.
meaning that it's time for you to step into your power and to step into the way you would treat yourself as a goddess and the way you would honor maybe your spirituality or your schedule or your boundaries if you were living that.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing it as kind of a tool to use it as an example. And it does feel like there is a deep connection between you and these kind of goddesses. And it's interesting. I can kind of feel them guiding you or pulling you. Like I see three of them, honestly, like that are kind of almost creating this like mountainous wall around you where they're with you, protecting you, guiding you. But I'm not feeling, and maybe that is to come, later on, but I'm feeling like they're wanting to build you into a mountain. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting. After I gave birth to my son, uh, I like waited for the clearance of like when can I get a massage, right?
Mm,
So someone at the yoga studio I was working for at the time had a space in the studio. So I was like, can I schedule a massage with you? So I show up and I'm like, she's like, you don't need to take off your clothes. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I came here for a massage. I really need a massage. So she probably just did some Reiki on me. I didn't realize that's
mm,
what she was doing at the time. But then she was like, yeah, you have this really strong guide and she's very strict and she's got this big head wrap and all this stuff. And she didn't really know a lot about what I was into. So that always stuck with me. This one guide that she was saying is very strong, has a very strong presence around me. I'm
mm,
just like, oh, okay. I've also been very called to African dance. I did it for a very long time. I even tried to dance Toro out in an African dance class when he was past the due date. And
mm-hmm.
so, I've always had this connection with African dance and practicing and being in a troupe and all this stuff. And I was like, I wonder if she's an African dancer. And that's why I'm like so into the act of learning these dances. So it could be anything, but I'm just like, huh, I wonder if she's one of those three women that you're saying.
Mm. I feel her to be separate from these three.
Mm.
And I feel the woman of African descent to be related to Egypt in some way. Does that resonate? There's like a big Egyptian presence for her, and she feels like something else. And then those three feel like a different body of energy. Like they
Mhm.
almost feel connected to like the elements in that way. And then this other woman feels like more of the education, almost more of like the plant medicine. Like she's giving me like that part of you. you, you
I had
act,
someone else tell me that too,
yeah.
which is funny. Because I was looking for I thought I had written down this little ritual for spring solstice. So I was looking through a bunch of journals.
Hmm.
I had gotten this really incredible Reiki session from someone down here. After that session, I was like, whoa, I need to go write down everything she told me
Mm.
And so I came across that, and a few things were like, I had forgotten. I remembered a few things, but one of them being like Cleopatra woman, Egyptian woman that was there,
Yeah.
along with me doing an exercise where you can see your aura. And I was like, oh, I have a green aura. Cool. I was like, that makes sense. But then part of it was that I had written down, just that there was green lights coming out of my hands. So there's like all these other little things, and I forgot she told me one of my spirit animals is the octopus, and that
Ooh.
she saw like an instrument each tentacle, and like all this stuff. It was just all this stuff that I had forgotten that she told me, and I was like, oh man, all this stuff is like clicking,
Mm.
connecting dots. This is the year of connecting the dots.
I love that. Is that your mantra for this year or?
Not necessarily. It's just kind of what's been happening. I'm
Mm.
just like connecting all these dots. Well, one of the things that this woman told me in this Reiki session was that my first life started in the ocean. And then I was like, oh, is that connected to why I always have these dreams where I'm breathing underwater? I was like, oh, okay. I'm gonna write that down. And then,
You have dreams where you're breathing underwater?
yeah.
Wow, that's big mermaid energy.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's often that I have that. I'd say like if you're thinking in a year time frame, I'd say at least like 6 times a year. I dream of that.
Amazing.
So as we were talking about the Orishas, the one thing that clicked was the song that I've had written and for a very long time, at least like 7 years. I tried to give it to someone else to sing because I heard her voice singing it.
Mm.
That never really came to fruition, and it's recently come back around where I'm like, okay, I think it's time for me to sing the song and release it to the world. We just started performing it. So we're just starting to present it to the world, and it's about water.
Mm.
And it was me kind of explaining my process, how I emotionally process. I go down to the water if like I need answers, or if I need to complete lyrics, I'll go post up at the water. And so like the verses are me explaining that, but
Mm-hmm.
then the chorus has always felt a little disjointed. But then I realized I thought it was this conversation between Mother Nature and I. And I was like, okay, cool. But then the chorus is come to the water and lay down, and I will come to you. And I recently realized, like, oh, that's Yemaya speaking to me.
Wow.
I was like, oh, so this is my song for Yemaya? Okay. I understand. I understand now.
It's a healing meditation. Come here for contemplation. To wash away what's been done today. And listen. She will tell you all you need to know. Just plant the seed and watch it grow. Free your mind and you will find you're open to receive. Come to the water and lay down, and I will come to you. Come to the water and lay down, and I will come to you.
Well, I also feel like that it's time. I feel like there's part of our bodies that remembers who we were in past lives and remembers the ancient wisdom. And then there's part of our ego that's kind of like more connected to the human earth realm right now. And so I could see that it's time also being like an opening or a remembering of kind of these things that will now the synchronicities are all starting to come together. Like that feels right too.
Yeah.
We are now at the second new little part of our show where I ask you what your gifts are.
The gift of calm. Yeah, in many aspects. Bring that a lot with the music. When I was in doing my doula work, you're just that calming presence. Most of the times when I'm in a group of people, I'm the calm one. You know what I mean? Just that gift of calm presenting in different ways at times. Sometimes it's through songs, sometimes it's just being that presence and breathing with somebody and just and doing the stuff in the planetariums been pretty magical to talk to people afterwards and them telling me really profound things.
Mm.
Most of the time they have to do with being able to relax. They never can achieve that level of relaxation even though they try really hard.
Yeah. Well, we should say for the audience, you host these extraordinary sound baths in the planetarium, in a local high school planetarium, where you get to go under the stars, literally, and kind of watch these beautiful images of galactical energy and the cosmos swirling around you. And then you perform these really beautiful, sound bath songs, and it's transformative. I think to be in that space, to be in a collective with so many other people, and to really, like you said, be able to put your shoulders down and kind of just focus inward. I don't think we get lots of opportunities to do that in a group. You'd mentioned, church before and being able to sing and things like that. But, to really be in that spiritual presence with others is so magical. And it's such a gorgeous gift that you do for people.
Yeah.
My mom and I went, I think it was kind of in the fall of last year, and
Mhm.
I can't wait to go back. My husband wants to go, so I'm always telling people about it whenever you're hosting them.
Yeah, well, there's two left in that space, and then hopefully I'm trying to expand outwards and do them out of town.
Amazing.
And so I'm like, dude, I want to do a planetarium tour. Like, hook me up. Let's do it. So
Oh, that'd be
the
amazing.
first two he said we should hit are the really easy ones, the newly renovated planetarium up upstate, and then Rochester also has a
Mm,
really incredible planetarium. So
cool.
those will be the first two that I will do when that time comes. And but then, I'm open to going anywhere really. I want this gift to be able to take me other places, and because I think it's such a powerful multi-sensory experience that one can have that, like you said, we don't get in this fast-paced glued to our phone times that we're in. Bring in that calm and peace and depth to reflect or to just simply be present.
Mm.
That's where I'm trying to be in that space.
I'll probably add this into our intro, but I originally met you while filming the trailer for The Resurrection of the Witch, and I got to go to your house and walk around your garden, and you were with a friend kind of pouring tea, and I think it was your friend's idea for you to sing for us. And I
Mhm.
remember just kind of being excited to bear witness to your sound. And the first time I heard you, the word siren kept coming up, and I feel like you have such a there's like melodic whisperings, but it's almost like a calling, like you're calling people to the sea when you do it.
Mhm.
That was my interpretation of it. And it's such a beautiful thing to bear witness to. And I've had the pleasure of having you come into my backyard and do a beautiful sound bath. I think it was last spring. But
I
I'm
remember
so
that.
excited as we get closer to the warmer weather to continue to follow your journey and to follow you around as you, perform these really magical ceremonies. I'm honored to bear witness to them.
I'm honored to be in your presence. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Thanks for joining me under the
Yeah.
Moongate. Before we go, where can people find you? How can they support you? Where do you want them to? I will add links in the show notes below, but where should we send people?
Yeah, the easiest thing is my website. Everything is Serenade Music. So Serenade is spelled Saranaide. Serenade Music. That's my website. www.com. And then I'm most active on Instagram. You can find stuff there. If social media is not your jam, through the website, you can sign up for my newsletter. I try to send one out once a month.
Am I on your newsletter?
I believe so.
Okay. Make
You
sure
can
that I'm
send-
on it.
I definitely saw your name on it because
Okay, good.
I went and added a couple of new people when I just sent it this month because I'm really trying to be diligent and doing a once a month thing, even if it's just
Please
like,
tell the people. We want to know what's going on.
yeah. And also too, when I have recordings that are going to come out, that's the easiest way as well. I'm doing a show soon where you can be able to live stream it. So even if you're not in town, you can go live stream the concert.
Amazing.
So yeah, the website's easy because then it's connected to all the other things, all the social media stuff. Sign up through the newsletter. If you want to run the pennies up, you can find me on your streaming platforms. I have some stuff out there. I'm not this person who fits in one box, which is really cool. So there's all these different aspects of my personality that come out through my music and the different things that I do, which is it's just fun being a person. It's yeah, just being a person and existing and just like letting all these flags that you're flying just like be like, yeah, just like really dig into that and let people see it. And I don't think enough people do that. And once we start doing that, it becomes this beautiful human experience.
It's time.
It's time, for sure.
I love it. Sarah, thank you so much for being here. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, equally.
Under the Moongate is produced and hosted by me, Erin Bagwell, with music by Sal Mastrocola. To get monthly magic lessons, replays of my workshops, and tickets to live reading events, join me as a paid Substack subscriber by clicking the link in the show notes or visiting underthemoongate.substack.com. To book your own private reading with me, visit my website, erin-bagwell.com. And help me pass the magic along. Rate, review, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. If you want to reach me, you can email me at thebuffalomedium@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening.